United!
Hello everybody and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions for week number 2 of our Premier League predictions. As always, there are timestamps down in the description if you just want to jump ahead to certain games, but I'd never recommend you to do that. And you can also do the same on the chapters feature on the YouTube video itself.
We are an Amazon affiliate. Please, if you're buying something from Amazon, click the link below. We get a tiny commission. It goes towards the channel. We're also advertising for a free 30-day Audible trial, so please do that as well.
Okay, very good, Thomas. Before we jump into week number 2, let's have a quick catch-up on how we did on week number 1. And it pains me to say that, Tom, you have got off to another winning start. I can never beat you in prediction. It's usually me who gets off to the best start.
Yeah, you're normally up like 4 or 5-0.
I know.
And I'm done. I've had it.
As we can see in the reduced week that we had with only the 8 games, you got that correct score with Arsenal right at the very start. I was praying for a Fulham goal right at the end there and didn't come. And that pretty much was the difference. I nearly got my Leeds Liverpool draw, but we'll get on to that in just a second. But you edged me out 7-4 on this week. Well done, Thomas. Well done to all those that joined in on our predictions game. Please continue to remember to put in your scores and also give us your scores and predictions, as always, down in the comments. And with all of our self-promotion out of the way, let's jump into the first game of week 2.
Wolverhampton Wanderers hosting Manchester City. City have been absolutely fantastic. They've made a flying start. They have yet to lose this season, and I think that they have proven that they are the team to beat.
Hang on, wait. They didn't play last week.
Okay, so Manchester City haven't played a match this season. If you want to hear our season preview for them, please click above. It's in there, our season preview. We have them ending in first in the league this season. We think they are going to be extremely strong. I actually don't think there's a lot I need to tell you about this at this point because we talked ad nauseum about them in the video. So I'm going to let Ian talk to you about the fantastic team led by the Spirit.
Yeah, they were really good, Tom. They were excellent against Sheffield United, getting that 2-0 win. Got a goal really early on, which helps, but he wasn't looking so good at the end of last season, but he started this season with an absolute beauty, Jimenez, and then the second goal from a corner as well. I don't know how Wolves didn't manage to get a third. There was both goal scorers, actually, Saiss and Jimenez managed to, Saiss had a good header, which was well saved by Ramsdale. Then Jimenez missed an absolute sitter. But generally, Wolves were very much in control of this game. Saiss was amazing. And considering having to deal with a very tricky Sheffield United side, I think they did really well. And they showed all their quality in this one. And this should be an excellent game against Man City. Wolves have certainly not showed any hangover from a long last season, and City were expecting good things from. What are you hoping to see from City's new boys? Anything exciting?
I'm going to be totally honest. I'm really excited for Lionel Messi's debut. I mean, we heard about it all. No, honestly, I just expect this City side, especially with Ake at the back, to be a bit more composed and a bit more in charge. I mean, Ake, maybe he'll fall on his face, but to me, he seems like a little bit of a Van Dijk signing. Like, he's a big guy, he's a competent ball player, and he seems like he could take on the mold of the leader for this side. So as long as he doesn't do what he did at Bournemouth and get too many injuries, City could be laughing on their way to a title. I've got City to win this. I'm going to say a scoreline that's going to make it seem one-sided, but in my mind, it's not. I'm going to say 3-1 to City.
Yeah, I'm going to go slightly less than that. Remember last season, this game was nuts, and Man City, I think, went 2-0 up and lost 3-2, I think, against Wolves. It was an early sending off for, wasn't Edison, it was the other keeper. Bravo. Yeah, he got an early bath in that one. But I think this one is going to be a tight City win. I'm not going to go 3-1. I'm going to go 1 less, and I'm going to go 2-1.
So we're in lockstep on the first match of the day, Ian.
Okay. Aston Villa versus Sheffield United.
Another of the sides to start the season in a barn burner. Aston Villa are absolutely fantastic. They haven't lost yet.
Here we go. It's like a Bristol Rovers gas factory all over again, isn't it, Thomas? They didn't play.
It's a car factory. Come on, man. So Villa haven't played yet. Again, please check our preseason predictions. They're in the top corner. We're not expecting too great a things. The one thing we'll say is Jack Grealish has signed a 5-year contract, and I'm very quickly going to pour some gasoline on Jack Grealish's career and go, he signed that 5-year deal because no one wanted him.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about Sheffield United, and they did exactly kind of as we expected them to do in this game against Wolves. They weren't great. They conceded 2 really early goals. They looked a bit disjointed.
If you don't mind me interjecting, I was just going to say, Sheffield United were good going forward. They looked good, and they looked like full of running, full of energy, created chances. An unlucky Fleck hit the post, which could have got them right back into the game. But at the back, they looked surprisingly weak, and that was something that was a step off from what they were last season, where they were very hard to score goals against.
Are you accusing Ramsdale of not being Dean Henderson?
Well, he is the only notable difference, isn't he, in that back line?
I'm just saying, Premier League 2, Ramsdale 0.
Just a couple. I'm not sure whether it was just Wolves were exceptional, but it certainly from things like set pieces, Wolves caused a lot of problems, which is something I don't think Sheffield United were too bad at last season. But it's one game, it's early days, and I do expect Sheffield United to win this one 1-0 with a goalie bundling the ball over the goal line, and it actually being given this time, as opposed to this year.
So we're going for United victory.
Yes.
I am also going to go in total lockstep here, 1-0 Sheffield United, because Sheffield United never score more than 1 or 2 goals.
And there'll be a backlash from Wilder. And you completely ignored my comment about Villa getting away with it last year.
I do my best to just wildly ignore it when you try and bait me in these sort of things. And normally you win, so this I count as a win for me. Also, I will say that Chris Wilder said exactly what probably every United fan is thinking, where he was like, yeah, we've lost 1 game, and you're all patting yourselves on the back going, I told you so. They will be better.
It's a classic Chris Wilder line. He always says it. He goes, we never big ourselves up too much when we win, and we're not going to beat ourselves up too much when we lose. He's been saying it for years.
Then he downs a pint.
Punches his assistant manager.
I knew it was coming. So Leicester City versus Burnley. Burnley, one of the 4 undefeated sides we really need to talk about this week. They have not lost yet in the Premier League. They're looking to go a whole season undefeated, and Ian looks like he's having a fit.
Stop it!
Stop what?
I can't handle this. It's buffoonery.
Okay. I promise to stop doing it. This is it. This is the last one. I promise it's over. Burnley haven't played yet. Again, check out our preseason predictions. But Ian, let's talk about Leicester, shall we?
I think we should.
So Leicester were really good on the opening day. They beat another newly promoted side, West Bromwich Albion, 3-0. Much like Fulham, West Bromwich Albion looked at sea in that match, and Leicester looked like they were just going to control the entire game. It looked like the floodgates could have opened at one point, but 3-0 was... It was a good result.
I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to West Brom, but to me, they seemed to down tools very quickly after Leicester got the first goal.
They just kind of fell apart. It was a bit like in Fulham, where you kept expecting something to happen from them in the whole match. You're like, oh, eventually, no. Oh, yeah. No.
But let's give credit to Leicester. Let's get back on Leicester.
Leicester were good. Jamie Vardy's in the goals again. I mean, that guy is just evergreen. He is going to be scoring 20-plus Premier League goals a season until he's 40 years old. I mean, how is he still as quick as he is? Age does not catch up to him. Also, for any of you that haven't seen it, go watch the Danish Friends clip. It makes me love Jamie Vardy. Have you seen it, Ian?
I haven't seen it. I don't even know.
I'll send it to you.
I don't even know what it is. But 2 penalties for Vardy. Thomas means he's not. He's not leading the race for the Golden Boot, but he's thrown his hat in the ring, as you would expect again. New signing, got the first goal though. Castagni got the first goal.
I don't know.
Right back who's come in that we said, why have they signed him? And they got Pereira, but...
Mate, it's an Atalanta player, right? Like, he's going to get goals. That's all we know about him.
Yeah, he's going to score loads. And it was generally... You felt as soon as Leicester got the first goal, they were never going to be in any trouble in this game. Good performance by Leicester, and this one will be an interesting one, I reckon. This one will be a tight affair. Is that what you're going with? 1-0, 1-1.
1-1.
Can't even read your hands.
Because of this fancy background I'm in right now.
It is. I think I'm going to say that Leicester build on that good win from last weekend, and I think they'll edge this one. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leicester City win.
This is where I lose predictions.
What is where I lose predictions?
It's Leeds United versus Fulham.
That's right, Thomas. And before we're not going to give the prediction straight up, but we are going to say that this is our grandstand bettors pick of the weekend. We are going all in after their back of their brilliant display against Liverpool and unlucky to lose. We are going for a Leeds win in this one. That is what we are saying. A Leeds,
which is why I've gone 3-0 to Fulham.
And what do you say? Newly promoted side goes to Anfield, scores 3 goals and loses. It's a catastrophe, isn't it?
The opening goal is possibly one of the best goals I've ever seen, where he flicks it over.
Salah's penalty?
Yeah, go away. Where he flicks it over, I think it's Trent Alexander-Arnold, dinks it around Van Dijk, and just hones it into the bottom corner. Yeah. The third goal, the volley across the goalkeeper, is fantastic. Leeds had serious questions at the back. Obviously, Robin Koch really did not look good. That handball, you've really got to question.
We're still conflicted on this.
I think he's stiff-armed it. He's literally tensed his arm as hard as he can. It doesn't just bounce off. It, reverberates like a post. But irrespective of that, he also just let Van Dijk run straight through him. I mean, Van Dijk barely even has to jump when he gets his goal. We expect better.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I did. That was the only problem for me. Is they gave away some soft goals to Liverpool. If they would have just defended a little bit better, they could have won that game, because the goals they scored and the movement as well from the Leeds players was exceptional. I thought they were really fun to watch.
I texted you and I said that this Leeds team, if they can keep this up and, like you said, get wins on the board, so you said to me that they are a top 10 side in the Premier League already, and they have the backing to be a top 10 side, especially once fans are back and they can raise that income. Ian, Fulham were dreadful.
Yeah, they were. They were really poor, and other than some early throw-ins in the game at either half, really, where they got some decent balls into the box, but then decided not to play Mitrovic, who could get on. One player could get on the end of that. I don't understand. They were what we expected against Arsenal. Really, we thought they'd give it a go, and Arsenal would pick them off, and that's pretty much what happened. You sort of texted me and said difficult to see the Premier League quality in this Fulham side, and that was very evident in this one, and that's why I think we're going for Leeds in this one, because you don't want to be that tag like Leeds of saying we played well but we lost. You don't want that to sort of linger on, so Leeds will be desperate to get that win this weekend. I think it's a really good game for them to have. I think they'll be too strong for Fulham, and I'm just going to throw my prediction in now. I'm going to go for a nice and comfortable 2-0 win for Leeds.
Yeah, I'm going 3-1. I think Fulham will get a goal in this game. I know Leeds won't be as bad at the back, but you feel like, especially if Mitrovic can get on the pitch now, they'll get a goal out of this.
Southampton versus Tottenham Hotspur.
Why, Jose? Why? Why, when I come out big, I fight with Ian over where you're going to finish in the league, why do you have to ask your players to put in such an insipid and terrible performance? When Ben Davies looks like your best player, you're not even trying. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Highlights, I think, if you watch the highlights of this game, they were quite favourable to Spurs, because they did have a couple of chances, and you did feel if they took the lead in the game, it would have been a different story. But Everton, I thought, were really good, but we'll get to Everton later on. Why has Jose got to come out and be so critical after the game, though?
I mean, if you watch All or Nothing, I think the reason they brought Jose in, but the whole reason is it's the Spurs mindset of this, they don't grind out any results. When was the last time you saw a Spurs side get a 1-0 victory where they worked hard for it? Spurs they're either fantastic, flowing,
ironically, it was probably against Everton last year.
Yeah, or they have results like this. And I know that part of Jose's coaching style is to be tough defensively, to break down, etc. But this team kind of on the pitch, and quote Jose, they need to be bastards. They need to just get in the wars a bit more. And I don't know, I was unimpressed in this Spurs performance. I know they almost got a goal, but I really expected more out of them this season. I thought that they were going to be a pretty good side. They've made some decent signings. Doherty didn't look good at the back.
It is only one game. I mean, you don't want to get caught into the whole thing of doing what pundits do and saying it's disaster zones, but
I'm still backing Spurs to win.
Yeah, I just don't see why he has to, I just wish he didn't have to say those things. I know he's trying to get a reaction out of the players, but he could just as easy just piss everybody off, which he's done before in the past.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but what's he got to lose?
Yeah, he gets a big payoff if he's sacked, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he'll still end up at a top 20 club in the world.
Yeah, so just moving on to Southampton. Yeah, both sides lost by a goal to nil at the weekend. It wasn't a great performance for Southampton. I expect them to be a lot better actually against Palace. But Palace are very solid, and they got a good goal on the break from Zaha. It was actually taken, and Southampton just couldn't get back into it. They did have chances. It was quite a tight game. It wouldn't have been a surprise if it would have ended up being 1-1, but.
Yeah,
it was so they'll be expecting better. They need to improve their home form because they were poor last season at home. So this will be a good test for them first up. And I think they'll get a draw. This is my draw in this one, Tom. I'm going to go for a draw. I think this will be a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I've got Spurs winning this 2-1. Not for the main event, but for the match of the weekend. As £200 million plus Chelsea hosts Liverpool / we don't need new players.
That is champions Liverpool, Thomas, and don't you forget it.
We have to do this all season.
Yes,
it hurts
we
my
do.
soul.
Off to a winning start, defending their crown of a 4-3 win over Leeds. Salah with a hat-trick. It's all looking perfectly rosy for Liverpool, isn't it?
Look,
job done already.
I am going to literally do both teams in one go here, and it's going to be in the scoreline. I'm going totally against the book. Chelsea 4, Liverpool 2. I thought Chelsea were really good in their game. They won, was it 3-2? 3-1. Obviously, Brighton missed a golden chance with Dunk, and from there, Chelsea went up the other end. But it wasn't any of their new signings that scored, and we still know that all these guys are really potent going forward. And Liverpool shipped 3 goals to a Leeds side that moved really well. But it is just going to be tougher for Liverpool. And this Chelsea side is just dripping in talent. I mean, like...
Wow. Well. It is dripping in talent, but if you talk about Liverpool being bad at the back, you have to talk about Chelsea being bad at the back as well.
It's about Kepa more than anything.
Yeah, I think Chelsea in general, they weren't that good against Brighton. Controlled large portions of that game yesterday, and Werner did actually play well. I thought he had a really good game. He won the penalty. He looked like a difference maker. Havertz still finding his feet a little bit more. Chelsea again, great going forward, but at the back they look like they're going to concede. Kepa.
They might have a new goalkeeper by the time the match is played. Let's just put
that is a mistake you wouldn't expect to see in the National League.
He's terrible.
He's the ball's got over his hand or under his hand.
He's terrible.
Yeah.
We said it
a couple of saves in the game, ironically. But
he's terrible.
So we obviously expect this to be high scoring. Of course I do. I think Liverpool win it though. I'm going to go for Chelsea 2, Liverpool 3.
About time you backed Liverpool in a football match, Ian. And now it's time for the second best club in Liverpool, Everton versus West Bromwich Albion.
I was convinced you were going to say Tranmere Rovers then. So Everton, we were wondering what sort of Everton would show up. We thought like there might be taking them a little time to get their new signings gel, but they looked really good against Tottenham, I thought.
I mean, like, the joke is that Ancelotti is the James whisperer, right? And, like, I was surprised to see him playing this deep role, but he looked so good. And he looked so classy. Like, it's rare the Premier League gets the sort of player that when you watch them, you think they're classy. Like, Bruno Fernandes is a classy player. James is a classy player. He's the sort of player that you're like, anywhere he plays, he kind of glides about on the ball. He's just... I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I
think Richarlison looks $1 million at the start of every season.
Yeah.
He starts every season like a house on fire. He looked great yesterday, full of pace, full of energy. I mean, he'd done everything other than score the first goal. He should have passed it to Calvert-Lewin, who was free on the penalty spot. But, you know, Calvert-Lewin got the goal, a little bit dodgy. Have you seen all the holding on the kind of the VAR? Like, literally, there's an Everton guy who's literally just blocked holding a Spurs guy like that, stopping him from run. But it wasn't given, and it was a good header, and I thought Everton deserved to win. West Brom were poor. West Brom
Look, West Brom are going down. I know it's early. I know West Brom fans are going to get annoyed, but, like, I didn't think they'd do well preseason. They've done nothing to assuage my fears. I think Leicester are a good team, but I thought they could have scored more. I think this Everton side, under Ancelotti, with Allen, Doucouré, and James, all of a sudden have a midfield trio that can dominate football matches. And I worry for West Brom in this game because I think Everton have goals coming.
Big time. I mean, if you look at West Brom, and you can say if you haven't got the quality, you'd at least expect a lot of effort and work rate and like heart
organization.
Good, and sort of like bodies on the line, sort of defending kind of thing. They just didn't show that. They lost. The way they just surrendered to Leicester is a really bad sign for a side early on in the season. And I think Everton will win this one quite comfortably. I'll just throw my score in first. I can't even see West Brom scoring.
Nope.
I'm going to go for 2-0 to the Evertonians.
Yeah, I'm going 3-0. And West Brom, to me, and this will go against my argument, but they have shades of Aston Villa last season, where Aston Villa would be putting this real fight in, and they concede a goal or two, and all of a sudden it was just like, oh, well, what's the point in playing anymore? And I felt that with West Brom. I get the feeling with Aston Villa for most of the season until the end, where they pulled it out the bag, but I'm not backing this West Bromwich Albion side, so 3-0.
Hell. Top of the league, Arsenal versus West Hammersmith United.
Arsenal fans rejoice, because this is the one time this season you'll be able to say that. That's enough on Arsenal. I've talked about them to death.
Well,
West Ham United.
You clear 6 or 7 minutes in this video for when I talk about them.
West Ham United were dreadful against Newcastle. I expected so much more out of them. I thought a 2-2 draw. I thought they'd come flying out the traps, and they didn't do that. And they lost to Newcastle.
Yeah. Typical. It was such a silly West Ham performance. They hit the post twice, but they just looked like.
I thought we were going to see a different West Ham this season. That's what I thought. And this looks like the exact same team.
Yeah,
to a T.
Can't argue with that at all. It looks like a side that's doesn't look like a side that's been freshened up with any signings, which is exactly what Newcastle looked like. We'll get to them in a bit. But they just look like exactly, same old team. But Arsenal did look pretty good against Fulham. Obviously, it was a game we expected them to win, and they fully did. Aubameyang on the score sheet. Lacazette scuffed one into the corner, and new signing Gabriel with a headed goal as well. I think it's Gabriel, is it?
Yeah.
I think they always put his long Brazilian name, so I'm just going to call him Gabriel. With a headed goal as well. So perfect start for the Gunners. Black Eyed Peas singer will.i.am with 2 assists, and I think he hit the post as well. So just a really solid, good performance, exactly what they wanted. Leno back in goal instead of Martinez, so a bit disappointing for Martinez.
Tough on Martinez, but I mean, Leno had a pretty good year leading up to that point, so.
Another London derby, but another London derby where I can see the Gunners winning. I think it's going to be. I think I'm going to go 3-0 Arsenal again.
I'm literally matching that score. Newcastle United versus Brighton, Hove, and Albion.
Don't worry, Thomas. Do not worry. I've parked all that Steve Bruce stuff for season 2 of Very Biased Opinions. We're now in season 3. That is behind me. But oh my God, where was these performances last season? When I was waxing lyrical about them every week, because they were really good.
For sure.
It's the Newcastle side that looks strong at the back, and now they look so much better going forward. We talked about the pace they've got on the counter-attack. They got a goal scorer in Callum Wilson. Andy Carroll fit again provides that use of a target man, which they didn't have for long parts last season. They look like Steve Bruce has got a lot of options. They look a pretty solid side, and if you can keep players fit, you wouldn't think they'd have any problem this season, not even looking down the table at all. Once they got the first goal, they were completely comfortable in that game. And it's to say, what is it? How has a Newcastle United side managed to go out and get good signings? They're usually the fans moaning about Ashley not spending any money.
I think they've done really well in the transfer window. I actually really like the signings they've made. I like that. Steve Bruce hasn't really constantly talked about the Saudi Arabia thing, although the club seems to be so just
Ashley's come out today, though, and said he's going to take legal action against the Premier League.
Yeah, mate, cool. Yeah, go sue someone. That'll really do a lot for your image, which is currently just at its high point.
He didn't care about his image.
I know, it's a joke. Both his image and what I said is a joke. Brighton and Hove Albion, though, I did not think they were terrible against Chelsea. Tariq Lamptey, I think Chelsea are going to regret letting that boy go. I think he's absolutely awesome. I talked about it last season.
Really, when they got Reece James smashing in those kind of goals.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. That's a fair response.
Which we should have spoke about when we talked about Chelsea, but we didn't. Never mind.
Let's not be surprised that Adam Lallana is injured already. That's probably him done for the season. Not because the medical people have said that, because it's Adam Lallana, and this will be the beginning of his 9 straight injuries. I'm actually excited for this game. I think it could be a bit attritional because of who both these sides are, but Brighton always try hard. I don't know any other way to put it. They're not quite a Sheffield United grind, but They always try hard, and when they're having an off day, they just defend really resolutely. Matt Ryan is an absolute cat in the goal. And I think this one's going to be a draw. I can't look away from Brighton getting a goal in this match. I think it's going to be 1-1.
Yeah, I keep thinking it's going to be a draw as well, just because I thought Brighton were too good against Chelsea, would like to end up with a 3-1 defeat, and I just thought this will be a pretty evenly matched game. I just want to say one thing, just going back to Newcastle. Jeff Hendricks, what a great performance on debut. I mean, Callum Wilson got the sort of goal Newcastle were missing, but to get an assist and to get a great goal he scored as well, it was a great start for him. I can't look beyond a draw in this one as well, but I'm going to go for a more entertaining draw, and I'm going to go for a 2-2. Desmond.
You're literally replicating the Newcastle score from last week
which didn't happen, so it won't happen this time, will it? First of all, Thomas, watch out! The Eagles are coming! Because it's time for the main event.
Manchester United hosting Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace.
Well, we're into week 2 of the season, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is already going to be feeling the pressure as his side have not won a game yet.
That is a tired joke. No one should ever make these jokes about the 4 teams that did not play a football match last week. It's classless, it's crass, and I would appreciate it if you did not talk like that.
Well, I say, screw you, sir. And screw you, resident expert and Manchester United Thomas Pickering, and you tell me how these Red Devils are going to get on against these Eagles.
I'm excited for the opening of the season. Hopefully most of the United players are actually refreshed, and Man United, when they have their starting 11 fit and healthy, are one of the best teams in the league. Unfortunately, they've only brought in one player. They've let a couple go, but they haven't even cut the dead wood yet. I'm gonna state my score right now. I expect Man United to beat Palace 3-0, but I'm just really quickly going to rant for a second that I can't believe we haven't brought anybody else in. Like, the squad was clearly in need of freshening up.
Just before you go on the rant, do you think they will, though? Do you think the people will come out?
No. I don't trust anyone at this club. I do not trust Ed Woodward. It's all Jadon Sancho. Is there no other footballer on earth available? Is there no other position we need players in? Is there no striker? Is there no other midfielders? Defensively, do we have any real backup? Like, he doesn't seem to trust anyone. Chris Smalling is still sat at the club going, I'd like to move to Rome, please. And Roma and Man United are like, oh, mate, I don't know, like... Oh, like you had a fantastic season. We want more money.
They're like a county council. It's like, or a university. You know what we're like? It's like, we'll get around to it. We'll get around to it next week. Chris,
look, mate, there's tons of time. The window hasn't closed yet. Yeah, but mate, the season's starting and like, I moved there. Nah, Chris. Nah, mate. Yeah, we'll sort it out when we sort it out, all right? We've got to figure out Jadon first. I'm bored of it. It's annoying, but Man United will win this because they're fit. 3-0.
Man United will win it. I think so as well. I think Man United will win 2-1. Palace just seem to be an annoying side, and they beat Man United at Old Trafford last season. They did a Palace in this opening game. They were solid. They were steady. They took their chance when it came along. They probably should have won by a couple of goals to 0 in the end. They still got Zaha.
That they still have Zaha is huge, and that he scored that goal instead of stropping for 4 months at the beginning of the season like he did last year is so important, and that will be. Like, that could be what helps Palace this season.
And as we always say, Tom, Roy is a wise old sage. And, you know, he after he masterminded that defeat to Iceland, he's done all right for himself. But also as well, I'm just going to end this video by saying, how dare you criticise Woodward, a man who has made so much money for the Glazers.
And on that note, thank you to all of you for liking, subscribing. Thank you to those of you that are competing in our prize pool. There are 35 of us, and to all 35 of you that wanted to take free money from us, we salute you.
No.
But genuinely, thank you for the likes, the comments, and the subscribes. It means the world, and it's what helps our channel grow. So keep helping us grow, and we'll see you next week for week 3 of the Premier League.